All right, so you're basically completing your first week of the isolation drills, and we've had your player on the knee, and you've learned that we're not just sitting on a knee with a bat on our shoulder hitting balls. There's a lot of things that we're working out here in terms of, I think the relationship of the how the hands and arms are connected to the bat. Certainly, their positioning is extremely important, right, for players to understand is the bat is an extension of the body. Well, the hands and arms are an extension of the body as well. And so how these things are positioned to maximize our efficiency is going to be extremely important for your player to start to understand. For instance, we know and we've learned that if we want more lag, then players have to understand that the bottom hand arm is not just along for the ride. Right? And so if I start the bottom hand arm in a position that doesn't promote the pulling muscles that are necessary for, if I'm going to find any sort of balance, right? If there's going to be a 50-50 relationship between the bottom hand arm's energy and the top hand arm's energy, I need to make sure that I'm setting this up as efficiently as possible. And so the bottom hand arm has muscles in the tricep that will help pull. And there's muscles in both directions of the forearm that will help pull. But the positioning of this bottom hand arm, as far as the next level, right, how it's connected to the body, is really important to promote these feelings, right? So as you transition to the dynamic balance drill this week, we're going to get the player off their knee. And what's really important is that we don't completely disconnect from all the things that they've been learning on the knee. And this is what happens, I think, for 9 out of 10 players in the beginning. Okay? My experience of working with players in the player bundle, when they go to their feet, they suddenly go, oh yeah, good, Dad doesn't want me to have the bat on my shoulder anymore. I can do my old stance. But it's really important that they stay inside of these things. So I'm going to show you, we're just going to jump over, and this is an important little conversation to have right now, is that what you'll hear a lot if you in the hitting world, you'll hear a lot of people talk about how style doesn't matter, right? How players stand in the box is a comfort thing. So I remember when I was first introduced to this idea years ago, we'd see video of like Craig Counsell. Some of you might remember Craig Counsell. He had his hands really high, way above his head, and the bat straight up in the air, real strange position. Jeff Bagwell in his real squatted position, and Kevin Youkilis with his unusual top hand relationship and the bat tipped over his head. He would kind of stand like that. But the point of the message was, style is a comfort thing, right? How players stand, like Goldschmidt in this unorthodox position with the barrel way below his hands like this. You see that he's eventually going to transition to a better position. Now, what I've learned about style over the years, just in working with kids, is that, it's easy to say, you can stand however you want to, but as long as we get to the nuts and bolts, when we go into the actual hitting process, you get locked in, we're good. But we're talking about 8 to 12-year-olds here. And isn't it, obvious that we could say instead of style doesn't matter, or that's just a comfort thing, that we could also look at it like some styles are more perfect than others. And I believe that Ken Griffey Jr.'s style was absolutely perfect. Now, many of us remember the little waggle of the bat, but the connected relationship of the arms and hands, if the arms and hands are an extension of the body, it's a pretty good spot, right? That's going to promote a lot of great range of motion for the arms and hands to work as an extension of the body. This is natural, right? Ken Griffey Jr., there's a video, the only video I could find of him talking about his game swing or game approach. And he said the only thing he thought about when he got into the box was his palm direction on his top hand. Now, many of you know when we talk about early on in the program here, we're talking about how the top hand arm is connected to the bat. We're not talking about how the elbow is connected to the bat on the top hand, right? We're saying how is it supposed to be fixed to the bat? So we talk about palm direction. We talk about how we should feel that the top hand arm is behind the bat, and we never want to say, hey, get your elbow up. And this is one of the most confusing things for people is they look at stuff like this and they go, well, Ken Griffey Jr. has his elbow up. Well, I guarantee you that's not a feeling that's in Ken Griffey Jr.'s body. He doesn't, and so once we tell a kid, if we make a kid think about their elbow, they will disconnect that part of their arm from the rest of the working parts because they'll start thinking of it as an independent piece to the puzzle. And really all these things have a connected relationship, right? And so when you hear Uncle Joe at a t-ball game going, hey, Jimmy, get your elbow up, it's the worst idea that you can give to a young player because the elbow is not a separate mechanism from everything else, right? So we want to promote the right working relationship and the right connection of these things. So you've done that on the knee, right? So I want you to see how Ken Griffey Jr. at this stage right here, if we just said, hey, Ken, put the bat on your shoulder, boom, he would be in the same exact position that we're in on the drills. Okay, we've got our palm direction fixed in a certain way, but most importantly, like what we've learned about drag, as many of you have learned this, right? That the drag is not an elbow problem on the top hand arm. Drag is an energy problem. If I don't have the bottom hand arm creating any energy, and I'm not saying the most energy, but there's got to be some sort of, if both hands and arms are connected to the bat, if I'm not getting some sort of or close to a 50-50 relationship between those mechanisms creating energy to move the bat, if I'm just, the top hand arm is just immediately starting to try to steer the bat out of the top, it's trying to create all the energy, and I don't teach a player, hey, your bottom hand arm can do more work than your thing. Well, that player will never understand what it ultimately means to get inside of the ball. They'll never understand any sense of lag in the swing if they don't have any sort of bottom hand presence. Well, the way we fix this arm in this drill, right, promotes the proper connected relationship that's going to allow us to grab whatever pulling muscles we need for this bottom hand arm. They're going to be available. But if I go from my shoulder position, and this is what most of your kids are going to do, hey, good news, you don't have to have the bat on your shoulder in these dynamic balance drills. This is the way kids are going to do it. They're going to take the bat from here on the shoulder, and the way that they're going to get the bat off their shoulder is they're going to raise their hands up, which is going to take, instead of this forearm position being across the letters like this, which is a perfect connected relationship for the body to move the bat, they're going to raise this portion of their arm up to here. And immediately, this is where Goldschmidt starts. The reason why Goldschmidt transitions is there is no lag available from that position. You're not going to be able to use any sort of efficiency or any energy from the bottom hand arm from that position. It's completely cut off. It's disconnected from, again, the bottom hand arm is not cut off from the rest of the body. It's connected to other muscle groups in the torso area and so forth, right? So we've got to fix this position for now so that players are comfortable moving the bat from here, right? So if you tell the player to get the bat off their shoulder and they raise their hands and forearms to get the bat off their shoulder, they're going to be in a really tough spot. They're going to completely disconnect from the feelings that they've been working on all week, right? And you don't want that. So what you want to encourage, and I'll show, I probably need to make a better video than this, but when I get in these drills, it's very uncomfortable for me to put a bat on my shoulder, right? Just like your kid, but you see right here, I'm trying to get comfortable, right? But you notice how I just kind of pick the bat up there, right? That's what you want to promote your player to do right now. So you want to, when you get them in the dynamic balance position on their feet, you want to get them to first find the connected relationships with what they've been working on the ground, knob direction, palm direction, all those things, right? And then say, hey, I want you to just lift the barrel off your shoulder. Leave your hands where they are. And so you'll see the only thing that changes is the height of my top hand, right, as I go up to this position, right? But my arms and hands basically just stay in the same position. And that's where we're going to be moving the bat from right now at the start in the dynamic balance drill. It promotes the perfect connectivity, and it allows your player to feel what they've been working on. If you just let them raise their hands and arms up, they're going to completely disconnect, and you're not going to see any lag whatsoever from the bottom hand. And so what will they resort to? If there's not enough energy from the bottom hand at all, they'll resort to drag, because that's an efficient form of energy for the central nervous system, right? So we've got to promote this lag. And so watch out for this. And a good rule of thumb, right, to look out for is there's really no reason at this stage, okay? I'm not talking about your styles, your player's style 4 years from now when they're on the big diamond. I'm talking about right now, there's no reason for their bottom hand height to be higher than the back shoulder, right? If you see that, if you see your player come off the shoulder and they raise their hands and arms up and their forearms to get the bat up, they're disconnecting completely. So this position I'm in right here is what I recommend as we work into dynamic balance. That this is basically where we're going to learn to move the bat from in dynamic balance. Okay? So let me know if you have any questions. Everybody's doing a great job. I think this is something I would definitely watch out for as you're transitioning to the feet. All right.